It's the 29th of December. It's that strange time between Christmas and New Year where kind of no one really knows what to do, what to think. It's like New Year's Day is coming around, Christmas has been. It's like, are we supposed to be at work? Are we supposed to be sleeping? I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of decisions I've made quite recently. Specifically going travelling, quitting my job, turning vegan. Three quite massive things really. I suppose I'll start with quitting my job. So I made the decision 7 months ago that it was definitely the right decision to do. And it isn't one of those usual things of, I hate my job, I don't want to do it anymore, I'm not getting any satisfaction. I love my job, absolutely love my job. I'm a youth worker. I've worked with young people for about 15 years. I was working with young people when I was still a young person myself. I suppose the journey of youth work, both my mum and dad were youth workers. So I grew up in a household where youth work was just a normal thing. Understanding what it was about, how we try to help people, how we try and encourage young people to just be themselves most of the time. Really sort of started me off with youth work was when I was 15 years old. I was set on fire. I was burnt all on my chest, up on my wrist and different places. Spent 2 weeks in hospital, various skin grafts, take skin off my thigh and put it onto my chest. It was an intense time. But what I kind of figured out at that point was that there was a hell of a lot of support for me. A hell of a lot of support. My family were around me. The hospital at Pinderfields Wakefield were fantastic. I then went and did residentials with the Pinderfields Burns Club, and then later went to be a volunteer. And what I was kind of figuring out was that the young people that sort of do these things, that the lad that set me on fire, and the young people that I subsequently worked with in following on, there's not a great deal for them. There's no surprise that that young people in young offenders, which is where I work now, the vast majority are from poor backgrounds, that are from areas that are deprived, and there's nothing going on, especially now with the cuts in the youth service. There's just nothing there. There's nothing there for them to do. So the numbers in young offenders go up. For me, it's not a surprise. I always say to the young people I work with, we are a product of our environment. We kind of grow up in a certain place, and we see certain behaviours. Therefore, we do those certain behaviours. Right and wrong doesn't come into it a lot of the time. It's just survival. A lot of people think that's apologetic. I don't really care, to be honest with you. It's not the point. For me, we spend a lot of our lives blaming rather than actually dealing. It's kind of my journey a little bit into youth work. I love what I do. I think the organisation I work for, Kinetic Youth, are easily the best organisation I've ever seen. The empowerment and the ability to just get on with your work and do the work that's so brilliant with young people is fantastic. When I say I quit my job, it's not a, oh my god, I hate my job and I don't want to do it anymore. It's simply a time for something different. So travelling. So that decision is born out of the same stuff really. Is the idea that at some point in my life I would like to get into politics. I would like to get into something that impacts people on a bigger scale. My perception of the world is I'm curious as to what's actually going on. There's a chap at work who always talks about theory and practice. So what we hear that's going on in India and Thailand and these sort of places are one thing, and I guess the reality is probably very, very different. So I think I kind of want to go and do that. And there's a little bit of selfishness as well, that I've been able to save up a little bit of money. And by the way, it's nowhere near as expensive as what you might think. For 2 people, it's going to cost about £12,000 for 2 people. And if there's any interest, I can go into kind of the budget stuff of how I've managed to do it for that sort of price. But all I'm saying is, don't go to the shop and do it. Go to the internet and do it yourself. So that's kind of what I'm doing in the short term. And one of the sort of biggest decisions, one of the things that I've done more recently is turning vegan. Originally, I turned it for purely health reasons, for the simple fact that, and actually originally it was just vegetarian. And then I watched a few documentaries on Netflix and started recognising the effect of eating meat on the environment and on people's health and on various disabilities and diabetes and all this sort of stuff. And people might say that there's always 2 sides to the story, but I always kind of say that if somebody financially benefits from you agreeing with their point of view, question it. When the meat industry is telling you that meat's good for you, question it. When the dairy industry is telling you that milk is full of calcium, question it. Because if they're right, then fine. But if they're wrong, then they'd financially benefit from you going along with that ideology. It's an internal thing for me, and I often get a lot of questions of what do you eat, and we're meat eaters and all this sort of stuff. And all right, okay, I mean, my knowledge base isn't massive, but it doesn't take much research to realise that we're not meat eaters. We're not designed to eat meat. We're not look at the obesity levels. You go to countries where meat isn't eaten. Again, we're talking about theory and practice. I've not been to some of these places, and that's part of my thought process. I'd like to know a little bit before I say a little bit. But you look at statistics, and it's clear that the more meat you eat, the less you live, and the more unhealthy you are. So, yeah, veganism's is a new thing. I'm learning all the time. I'm eating new food, which is exciting. And if you knew me before I turned vegan, I was probably the biggest meat eater you could find. I loved sausage, bacon, cheese, butter, milk, everything. I ate a lot. The idea is to take as many videos as I'm travelling to kind of talk about the veganism, whether it's even doable in some of these places, whether I can stick to that. Do I have the willpower? Because I've weighed a couple of times, although since I've made the decision, I've not eaten anything from an animal or something that's against my morals, but it's been difficult. It's been a challenge. Not a challenge so much as it's been difficult to buy the food myself. It's when you go to a restaurant and you've literally got to eat one thing. So a lot of people say that, you know, you become very picky when you're vegan. No way, shape or form am I picky. I went out for the Christmas do for work, and I had literally brought me a bowl of cress and cucumber and tomatoes, and I just had to eat a load of chips. So I mean, it is where it is, but I mean, I'm hearing certain things as I'm watching these videos online and kind of doing a bit of reading, a bit of researching, that I guess my taste isn't more important than something's life. Because you can survive without meat. People have survived without meat for centuries. You know, Buddhists and Hindus have done pretty well at not eating meat, so I reckon I might be alright. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. But yeah, India's apparently one of the biggest vegan countries in the world. If anyone's got any advice, that'd be wicked, because I have no idea what it's going to be like at all. I mean, I've been to India before, but I went to Goa for 2 weeks on holiday when I was like 20, and I just ate everything that was there. So food's going to be a fun thing. The culture's going to be amazing. So yeah, I'm just pretty excited now. So yeah, that's about it really. I'll catch you in a bit.